Okay, welcome to the second installment of Potechin for TSBP 11.11. You should have learned the intro already on this daf. And what's happening now is I'm going to read through the Gemara with you. I am going to go pretty fast. I talk fast and I learn fast and whatever. You can take this as slowly as you want. Re-watch stuff as often as you want, or as whatever. Do your thing. Either way. Here's how I would read the Gemara if I was reading it to myself or to a chavruta properly. I would start with, as I point out, right? That's the first colon. The question is right here, which is, how do we do this? How do we do this potchin thing? All right. Opinion number one, Rav Yehuda, Amar Rav Yehuda, Hachi Amrinan lehu. This is what we say to them. Now, Amrinan comes from the word Amar, say. Hachi Amrinan, the two no's at the end mean that it's a plural people. Pause.
Good morning, all seniors to the grade 4 for breakfast, followed by your first period chesed sessions. All seniors to the grade 4 for breakfast.
Sorry about that. Hachi Amrinan lehu. This is what we say to them. Hachi Amrinan lehu. This is what we say to them. Now, who's the we and who's the them? Well, the we in this case is Beit Din. The them is the witnesses. So if you can imagine, the witnesses came into Beit Din and accused someone of a crime. Let's pretend that they accused me or Rabbi Lindemel of doing idolatry, avodah zarah, on December 17th in Yonkers, right? And we say to them, the Beit Din says to them, Mi yemar kidika amritu, right? Are you serious? And we kind of get in their face and be like, are you kidding me? Are you serious? Do you actually even go here? Like, what are you doing here? And the idea is to kind of scare them into maybe even getting out of there. I mean, like, no, actually, like, we never meant to do this. We're not. Don't take us seriously. And that's opinion number one. Okay, again, according to Rav Yehuda, the Beit Din says to the witnesses, "Mi yemer kadika amritu." Are you serious? And really gets in their faces. Amar le Ula, right? Ula at this point argues with Rav Yehuda and says, "V'hachas minanu." Aren't you stifling the witnesses? Aren't you kind of making them? You're intimidating them, and that's not something that's okay. And the Gemara says, well, Rav Yehuda kind of responds, "V'lei chasmu." That's okay. I don't have a problem with intimidating witnesses. Milo Tanya, and I know that we shouldn't have a problem with intimidating witnesses because it says in a Breita, Rabbi Shimon Eliezer, Rabbi Shimon Eliezer have said, "Masi'in et ha'idim mi makom lemakom kedei shetidaref da'atam v'yachzeru bahen." Right there, right? That we have no problem when witnesses come into Beit Din. We'll take them down weird winding pathways and move them from room to room and disorient them. We have no problem with that. And that's kind of intimidating. So if we're okay with that, we should be okay with intimidating them verbally as well. Ula responds and says, "Me dummy," right? That's not a similar thing. Hatam v'meila kamichu. When you disorient them, they kind of get, if they retract, they kind of happened on its own in a sense. But hacha dachina lehu biyadayim. In our case, you're talking about actually like initiating an intimidation thing. You're very actively intimidating them, and that's different. And according to Ula, it's wrong. And because Ula thinks it's so wrong, Ula rejects this and says, "Ela amar Ula, hachi amrinan yesh lecha edim lahazimam." What we say to them, the Beit Din says, the Beit Din says to the person on trial, Beit Din says to the defendant, in this case that's me, yesh lecha edim lahazimam, right, which is basically opening up the possibility that perhaps the person on trial, the defendant, can find witnesses who invalidate the witnesses who accused him. So let's pretend Tom and Jerry accused me of doing idolatry, doing avodah zarah in Yonkers on December 17th. I have two other witnesses, let's call them Sam and Dave, who can testify that Tom and Jerry were with Sam and Dave in Brooklyn on December 17th. They couldn't possibly have seen me doing idolatry in Yonkers on that date. And that invalidates those witnesses, right? So in this case, the way this is opening up a possibility of innocence is the way this opens up a possibility of innocence is that now they can, if I can find those witnesses, then the witnesses who accuse me are going to be invalidated, and then I go free because there's no evidence against me. Rabbah has a problem with that. Amarle Rabbah. You're not really solving any problem here. Like, you're right that you're making me innocent, but now Tom and Jerry, the witnesses who accused me, you're putting them on trial, right? And then you're going to have to kind of find, like, they're going to be in trouble, and they're going to be the defendant, and then we're going to go through this whole thing over again. It's kind of circular, and also it goes against our values. If the value is to try and defend the defendant, then now you're defending the defendant by accusing the witnesses, and now they become the defendant. That seems kind of counterintuitive and not exactly in line with our values. Feel free to ask me questions about that offline if that doesn't make any sense. And Ula responds and says, it's not really so bad. We actually wouldn't punish Eidim Zomim, which are these witnesses who couldn't possibly have been where they said they were. We don't punish them until the person on trial that they accused had been convicted. So it's not that bad, right? And then Rabbah says, no, right? Theoretically, you're putting too much power in the hands of the defendant, who now can hold back his witnesses until it's time for the other witness until he gets convicted, and then really get the other guys punished. We're going to pause here and continue with the rest of the Gemara another time. All right. Thanks for tuning in to the first two opinions. Wonderful. Have a wonderful Shabbat or whatever it is that you're doing.